teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me, I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Them back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still wanna think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like...
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another powerful episode of Shifting the Culture podcast, where we speak truth to power, elevate the people, and challenge the narrative. I'm your host, Brother King Cam, and we got a lot to get into on this show today, family. So first and foremost, what I want you to do is I want you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can build up our community over there on YouTube. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that bell so you can stay notified each and every time that we drop a video. On Facebook, I need you to like and share. And Twitter, I need you to retweet. All right? Retweet. Hold on. All right, cool. So, yeah, family. So, we need to get that stuff done. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and share this out as well on my side. And then we'll jump right into what we want to talk about. Because what's interesting is the fact that I was actually supposed to do this live like two, three nights ago. I was supposed to do this live about 2-3 nights ago. But, you know, a lot of stuff going down. Graduation weekend, graduation weekend for all of the graduates. You feel me? So shout out to anybody that got graduates. It's Memorial Day weekend too, so that's a whole nother thing as well. So yeah, family. So let's go ahead and share this out. Like I said, make sure that you like, subscribe, smash that like button, and make sure that you hit that bell so you can stay notified each and every time that we drop a video on YouTube. And then on Facebook, make sure that you like and share, comment. Let's get the engagement up. Twitter, I need y'all to retweet. And then Instagram, you already know what it is. When we get over there to Instagram, make sure that you tap in. All right, so I'm going to pull my notes out and share this. But let me pull my notes out because it's a couple of issues that I want to get into. First and foremost, I said that we wasn't going to speak much, and we're not, but we just want to touch on some of the developments that have come through on this Diddy case. On the Diddy trial that's taking place in the Southern District of New York, right? So it's a lot. There's been multiple testimonies. Cassie has testified, obviously. Kid Cudi just testified today or yesterday. So that's a brand new testimony. We saw Gene Deal, who entered the courtroom. We know Don Richardson, former member of Dirty Money, I believe, also testified. And let me just lay the foundation. This is not for us to determine if anybody is guilty or innocent. What I want us to learn, though, is to critically think. That's my purpose in this space of media and education, is to encourage you and jog your mind into a critical thinking space. That's what we want to do here. This is not, with this particular case, to discuss guilt or innocence, because one can be guilty and still get railroaded within the criminal justice system. Two things can be true at the same time. One can be guilty of something and still not receive due process in the criminal justice system. And as things continue to go along, we're going to ultimately have all the information. And from having all of the information, you'll be able to summarize with your own, not solution, but own conclusion to all of the information and all of the facts. But that's what I'm teaching us to do. We need to not be emotional. We need to gather all of the information from both parties, all parties. And then once we gather information from all parties, then we can then decipher based on what's given and interpret based on the law what the conclusion should be. And this is how it's handled in court. It's not emotional. It has to go to the law and go through due process. So one of the things that I see very interesting is that in law, there's something called precedent. And matter of fact, let me pull up the full-on definition of precedent. I don't want to give y'all my working definition, but we want to pull up the actual, there we go, definition of precedent because it's important. All right, so according to Merriam-Webster, precedent is the act or fact of proceeding, right? Or consideration based on order of importance. But that's not the actual definition I'm looking for. Hold on. This is what I need. I need this. I need legal precedents. Because what legal precedent is, right here, in law, a legal precedent is a prior legal decision or judgment that serves as an example or guide for future cases with similar facts or legal issues. I'm going to say that again. In law, a legal precedent is a prior legal decision or judgment that serves as an example or guide for future cases with similar facts or legal issues. So oftentimes in court cases, one of the guiding tools and methodology that's used as lawyers that navigate cases are legal precedents. Now, judges use legal precedent when they come to render a decision based on all of the information and all of the facts. When you get to like the Supreme Court, most of the time their decisions are based on prior legal precedents, right? So it's always used in law. So when we look at what's going on with this Diddy trial, you see that a lot of legal precedents. Did somebody lower my seat? Let me see something. Oh no, I'm gonna lower it. Hold up. Okay. A lot of legal precedents is not being followed. When it comes to prior cases, you see that there's a new precedent being set when it comes to black men in these RICO charges. As Shabazz the OG said a couple of days ago, that in the history of RICO cases, there have only been a few, if the only two, one-man RICO cases, because RICOs are not for one person. RICOs are not for one person. The law was developed to take down organized crime. I need us to understand, family, that RICO's was designed to take down organized crime. So organized crime is an organization. When you hear organized crime, you think of the mob. That's originally what the RICO was designed to take down. They could not get clear-cut evidence. They could never catch the head of crime families in the act of committing crimes, whether it was selling drugs, committing murders, doing anything, extortion, whatever. They never was able to catch the heads of the crime families in the act of doing so. Because in the organization of the mob, they have it set up where the one at the top is not the one actually getting his hands dirty. So in the act that somebody is arrested, then it never reaches the people who keep the operation going. So this is what RICO was designed to do, to take down organized crime. Now, never has there been one-man RICOs where one person has been the person of interest and there was never any other people who were so-called complicit or other people, that were acting out, that actually committed the crimes. When you look at like the YFN and the YSL trials, they had co-defendants that they was also putting on the stand against the quote-unquote leaders of the organization, Lucci and Thug. They had co-defendants that they also were accusing of such crimes, like Woody and others. So even with them, they had other people that were a part of the quote-unquote alleged RICO. But when you look at Diddy and you look at even the R. Kelly case, from what you see, they only was saying that R. Kelly and Diddy were the ones committing the crimes. They didn't have any co-defendants that said you participated in this and was and committed this crime. You committed this crime. You committed this crime. You committed this crime, and we charging all 8 of y'all with this structure, with facilitating criminally to this structure, to this enterprise, and therefore we would charge y'all with a RICO. But that's not what's happening here. So when you look at like the famous RICO cases throughout history, the law was developed in 1970. RICO was developed in 1970. Okay? And the cases that they have, famous RICO cases. The first time that they used the RICO was in 1979 against the Hells Angels motorcycle gang. That was the first time that they ever used RICO. All right, the next other times that they used it was for the head of the Genovese crime family, when it says that the head of the Genovese crime family was successfully prosecuted on racketeering charges in 1980. Over the years, the government was able to use the law to pursue over a dozen of the most notorious mob families in the country. Notably, the heads of the 5 mafia families in New York City were successfully convicted as a coordinated enterprise by the Southern District of New York. That's the same district that Diddy's in right now. In 2019, a group that organized a campaign against Planned Parenthood was convicted of RICO violations involving violating both federal and state laws in an effort to bar access to reproductive care. So these are just famous RICO cases. Again, involving organized crime, organized campaign, groups of people, right? The first time they ever used it was a whole motorcycle gang. Then they used it against the 5 mafia families in New York City, organizations. Then they used it against a group that organized a campaign against Planned Parenthood. But never do they use it against one individual, is my point. So now we have to ask ourselves, why are they using it against one individual? And what is the precedent, the legal precedent that they setting? Because that's the point that I'm getting to, is about the legal precedent. It's not about whether anybody's guilty or innocent. Because we know from what we saw that Diddy is guilty of at the very minimum, domestic violence. Bare minimum. Domestic violence, he's definitely guilty of that. So that's not a question. We're dealing with the charges of the RICO Act and what's the precedent that they're setting. What's the precedent that they're setting with all of these high profile cases? And how they're able to reinterpret the law. Because that's what it is. They're not using legal precedent. They're reinterpreting the law to establish something new. And we really had to ask ourselves, who and what is this for? Because if it was really about getting justice, for Cassie and for other women that may have been abused, whether it was by Diddy, whether it was by R. Kelly, whether it was by Dr. Cosby, whether it was by Harvey Weinstein, they would have been brought the charges. You understand? They have had knowledge, video footage, known about these situations for a very long time. It's not anything new. So if it was about getting justice for abused victims, they would have been brought the charges because they had enough. You literally got this man beating this woman on camera. If it was about getting justice for her, they would have been had him arrested and charged, taken to trial. So what is this really about? Okay? And that's the question that we have to ask ourselves. That's the critical thinking aspect of this that I'm trying to get everybody to get on board with. It's just to think critically about this. And what we see happening is we see the manipulation of a people who care deeply for their women. We see the manipulation of a people who care deeply morally about the character and the fabric of the community. Because we as black people do. We're not an immoral people. So we care about character. We care about morals. We care about the treatment of women and children. And if you notice, every time they bring any one of these high profile cases, those are the two components that are at the center of each case. It's going to be children and it's going to be women. It's going to be children and it's going to be women. Posted a video of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in his 2018, I believe, press conference at the Watergate Hotel, speaking to President Trump when he was first elected. And the minister was talking about the media and how the media is confirmed to have CIA assets, to be a CIA asset. Confirmed. And the media doesn't report truthfully on stories. And because the media is a CIA asset, when low-level reporters, bring a story and honestly want to report on the truth of a story after they've uncovered the facts and want to bring this to light, then when it's passed on to the bosses, when it's passed on to those in charge, they either shoot it down or greenlight the story based on what truth they want to make available to the public. And that's why we can't take on this language of my truth, your truth, because see, that's what Satan does. He makes up truth. He takes a little bit of truth and a little bit of falsehood and mix it together and create his own concoction or version or translation, or version, not translation, but version of events and make it his own truth. That's what the enemy does. So we can't take on that language, though. It's only the truth and it's only the lie. That's it. That's all. It's either the truth or the lie. But it's not my truth because I can't make up a truth. You can't make up a truth. You have to take the actual events and present them as they are. That's the truth. Okay? Hold up. Uh-oh. So we have to be careful of taking the language. The Quran says that the disbeliever or the hypocrite mixes truth with falsehood. Mixes truth with falsehood. That's why we have to hurl truth at the falsehood until we knock out his brain. Right? So this precedent that's being set, in my opinion, I'm giving you my opinion now, is being set for us as a people to throw stones at our own based on media manipulation. And this is why, like I mentioned before, they're using children, they're using women. They use children and they use women because they understand our moral compass. They understand our desire for righteousness. They understand that. They understand that they can pull at our heartstrings with this. So they use those two components to do that. And then what they start to do is they begin to have court or hold court in the arena of public opinion. That's why the media is so powerful. See, they start to shape your mindset about a person in the media way before the person even goes to trial or anything like that. Way before the person goes to trial or anything like that, they begin the assault on the character of said individuals, because at the end of the day, they know in our mind that once we have been given a picture, once we have an idea, once we make up in our mind how we think about someone, it doesn't matter what happens in the court of law, really. It don't matter. They can be found innocent, but been painted guilty in the court of public opinion, and in our mind, they still guilty. Oh, that nigga did it anyway. Oh, yeah, they can say whatever. I know he was found innocent, but that nigga did that. That they dropped the ball on that one. Like, we start to rationalize why what we think is correct. Not being able to grow past the emotional aspect, because, again, they got you emotionally invested. So nobody wants to be standing 10 toes down on something emotionally invested just to find out that they was wrong. And you got to walk back what you say. Now, see, pride and ego is in there. And it's not going to let you, if you're not humble enough, it's not going to let you just retract everything that you said after you were standing 10 toes. That's why you have to wait. That's why it's always good to wait before you just jump out there. Because, see, you put yourself in a situation like that. That's why, right? So they want to manipulate you emotionally, get you emotionally invested. Then, like I said, before the trial or any type of legal situation takes place, then what they want to do is they want to discredit the person's character through the media. So they're going to start to, create the narrative in social media. They're going to play videos. They're going to find old tweets. They're going to take clips from interviews and play them out of context. The usual tricks that they always do to put in your mind how they want you to view this particular person. And then from there, as the person falls in the eyes of the black community, in Black America, as they fall, losing credibility, losing moral character, all of these different things, by the time it's over and done with, and they get through all of the trial, if they go to court, by the time it's over and done with, that person is essentially have become almost excommunicated from Black America to a certain extent, depending on who it is now, But for the most part, their name is mud in the black community, especially if you don't have black media, grassroots media that's actually presenting another perspective or calling this stuff out, because that's the aim of what legacy media does, mainstream media does. That's the aim. That's what they're looking to do, especially when it comes to black people. Understand, when it's a black man, especially a black man, that is the goal, to destroy his credibility with his people. So by the end of it, if they decide to lock him up for life or even kill him, Black America won't stand up. Black America won't stand up. That's real. So that's what we see. That's what we see going on. So I want us to keep in mind of this type of stuff that's happened, because the United States government and intelligence agencies have a history of doing this. So it's not some newfound knowledge or epiphany that we talking about here on Shifting the Culture, or any of these other Black grassroots podcasts, or anybody else that's speaking about this. It's not nothing new. They have an actual documented history of creating narratives, framing people, taking things out of context. They have a history of doing that. They did that with the Black Panthers. They did that with Dr. Martin Luther King. They did that with Malcolm X. They did that with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They did that and do it with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And that is the big fish. Let's just go ahead and get right straight down to it. See, white America and the United States government is planning on making a move on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They planning on it. I just want you to know ahead of time that they're planning on pulling the same play that they did on Cosby, Puff, Kelly, everybody else. It's all leading up to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm telling you now. And what they're going to do, this is how treacherous they are with playing with your mind. Because you know the good works of the minister. You know he has worked on behalf of Black people for over 60 years. You know his resume. You know it. They are going to make you believe that the minister is either guilty of something that you know he's not, or he's involved in things that you know he's not, or that he's done things that you know simply are not true, because you know the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's character. But the power of the media is going to make you believe it. Now, these other people that I mentioned, they got dirt on them because they allowed themselves, and this is why the minister was always talking with them, always counseling and always giving them divine guidance, because the minister understands how Satan works. So he telling them and us, listen, you got to clean up. You got to clean yourself up, because see, them skeletons in the closet are eventually going to come out when you dance with the devil. And when you sit up there and you plan around with spiritual wickedness in high places, see, not flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places, the satanic mind. You don't understand how these people think, because they smile in your face, but they got a whole nother idea. They'll make you some money. They'll bring you into generational wealth. They'll make you famous. They'll make you popular. They'll do all of these different things for you with the ultimate idea to bring you down, and you don't know anything about it because you don't understand how the satanic mind works. Black America don't understand how the satanic mind works. That's why God had to raise up a messenger for us here in America, because we don't know how the satanic mind works, and God is the only one who knows how the satanic mind works, and he gives that knowledge and wisdom to his messenger that then teaches the people how the satanic mind works, because you're not going to get it on your own. That's why you keep getting tripped up. That's why you have to come under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Not become a registered member of the Nation of Islam if that's not what you want to do. Come under the guidance. Meaning what? Meaning what? Coming under the guidance meaning this is who I'm taking my cues from. How the hell you going to take your cues from Joe Biden or George Bush or any of them people in Congress? How you going to take your cues from any of these so-called black leaders, any of these black pastors, any of these black preachers who not standing on truth unequivocally? How you going to take your cues from them? How you going to follow them when the book that they claim to represent and the God they claim to represent is distinct and clear on what he is for and what he is against? But yet and still, they compromise those values for interviews and for, a seat at the master's table, for faith-based money and all of these different type of things. Just listen. Just listen. Just listen to how they preach and what they accept, and then go read the book. Hold up. Yeah, see? Just go read the book. Because it's here. The problem is you don't read. We don't like to read. You don't want to read the book. You want somebody to tell you what's in the book, and the whole time they interpreting and twisting and molding what's in the book for their own personal gain. Because they want to be a senator. They want to be a congressperson. They want to be president. They want to go to the White House and take pictures. So how you going to take cues from these people who can't even stand on the truth of the word of God? That's what I mean by fall up under the guidance. Follow the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because the minister ain't compromising this. He ain't compromising this. See, we like this. We like this as long as it don't compromise our foolishness. Long as it don't call us out on the backsliding and the sinning that we doing, we all for this right here. But this is why you don't like Mr. Muhammad's way. See, that's why you don't like Muhammad's way. Because, see, Muhammad got an accountability factor that don't exist in the church. Muhammad got a accountability factor that don't exist in the masjid. So you can go and pray Jummah prayer and then go smoke weed in the masjid because you don't have no accountability. Huh? See, listen. Look. So that's why you don't like that. So that's what we mean by falling under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, taking his cues, listening to things as he breaks them down and analyzes them that come from the United States government, from the news, from the foreign policy. You don't understand no damn foreign policy, especially if you ain't never worked internationally, globally on a government level to understand foreign policy. And even those who work for the FBI and the CIA and for other branches of the government that have another level of understanding of foreign policy still are not able to navigate the wickedness that's there. See, that takes divine guidance and wisdom. So what you have to do, even though you learned in a certain aspect, you still have to render that knowledge to the divine wisdom and take the divine wisdom that the minister get, marry it with your knowledge, and then boom, you'll have a clear view of what's going on. Because if not, you'll still be running around here talking about 9/11 was a terrorist attack by Muslims who took a couple of weeks to learn how to fly a 757, and all of a sudden they can just take a plane, drop it, take a plane, take it off, let it take off, then all of a sudden take over the cabins, take over the captain cockpit, and then bring the plane down to an altitude, fly it steady enough to fly into some towers and burn the whole thing down. After there has been report after report and proof after proof and presentation after presentation to show you that was a lie. But see, that's because they got your mind. That's because they got your mind. So, anyway, precedent. That's the precedent that's being set here. They're going to go after the minister. And what I'm telling you, family, is we can't fall for the trick. No matter what it look like. Because they got AI, CGI, that can make a person look like they saying something that they have not really said. But there's technology that can do that. They got a movie out that's on Prime that features Viola Davis, and the premise of that movie was how they manipulated AI. They kidnapped all of the head of states, right? The president, the prime ministers of all of the countries, and they were using technology to manipulate their words. And then posting it on social media, and all of the people was eating it up. The masses of the people was eating it up, not knowing that they was being tricked because of AI. So don't think because you see it or you even hear it that it's an actual fact. You're going to have to use discernment. You're going to have to go on what you know of a person's character and make your decision from there. Second thing I want to get into. Then we got to speed this thing up because we've been seeing what's been going on with Meg and Tory. Again, there is a senator. Let me see. No, congresswoman out of Florida who is calling on the governor of California to review Tory Lanez's case and issue a pardon because of new evidence that has come forth. Representative Williams said, either you say who shot Megan or you shot Megan. But somebody got to go down. So now, in the light of the new evidence, the new information that we have to readjust our minds to truth. We struggling with this truth piece because, again, as long as it don't condemn our foolishness, we all about people telling the truth. We all about honesty. We all about forthrightness. But the minute it condemns our crap, oh, no. Well, I feel like, that ain't the point. We got to support black women, protect black women. We do. But we can't do that. And they lying. We can't do that. And they not being honest. We can't do that. And they willing to put a innocent black man behind bars. Nah. We ain't doing that. Because we compromising the principle of justice, which justice don't have no bias. See, truth don't have no bias. It's just real. So, if information has come out to show that Megan was not being truthful, then we as good people should say, well, as your grandma would say, honey, you can't tell lies. If you lie, you'll steal. If you steal, you'll cheat. If you cheat, you'll kill. I don't know what type of household y'all grew up in, but my grandmama used to tell us all the time about lying. We hate liars. Don't lie. Because the next thing you'll do will be even worse than a lie. See, it start out with a small lie, then the lies get bigger, and then the deeds get worse. So all black grandmamas taught us about not lying. So since when was it cool for us to lie and then be found out about lying and then keep the position that we had before we was caught in the lie? Nobody likes that. So again, the same accountability that we had for that we wanted Tory to have in his alleged abuse of Megan, we was all on board with that. If he did what he was accused of doing, he should have to be accountable for that. Nobody's gonna argue that point. But if Megan is now guilty of not being completely honest and then sending a man to jail unjustly, she should be held accountable for that. Kelsey should also be held accountable for that. So it ain't just about Megan, but Kelsey as well should be held accountable. See, in the day of judgment, everybody got to stand on what they do. You can't get away from the wrath of God. So, as the minister said, you think when he was talking about the gangbangers and the gangs killing innocent women and children in the streets and men and women in the streets, you think that you're going to get away with smoking your brother? See, the white man don't give a damn, but there's a God that does. So if the white man don't hold you accountable for what you did, there's a God that will. And that's the time that we in now. So you can't just go around here killing innocent black people, innocent black men, innocent black children, black women, and don't think that the God is not going to be swift in the hand of justice. No. Especially because you know better now. Everybody in black America know better. Everybody in black America know better. Same thing. Megan know better. Kelsey know better. They know better than to lie. So if they're gonna do that, and now I'm being caught, accountability has to be on the table. And we have to have that same energy. And don't let nobody shame you. Let me talk to you, culture family. Don't let nobody shame you into critically thinking. And then they hit you with the, oh, well, we got to support black women, because, Tory, because what happens is they start to, you know, saying this and get to stuttering, and they can't get their words out because they don't got no points now. See, they really don't have a point they can make. So now they just get to stuttering. And now it's all about support black women and protecting black women, which is a tactic that I just told you the media does to get you emotionally involved. So now what we do is we start grasping for straws when we have nowhere to go. We start grasping for straws, and the first thing we do is start tugging on your heartstrings. Well, it's protect the black women. Protect them. Yeah, but we can't do that if she lying. And what I mean by protect her, let me be clear. Let me be super clear. This is not against the enemy. Now, if we're talking about protect the black woman against the enemy, we do that at all costs, brothers. All costs. So don't get on here and, you know, some white man accuse our sister of something. And we start taking sides with the white man. No, sir. No, sir. That's a negative tenfold. It's a negative. We never take the enemy side. If we think she's wrong, we'll condemn her on our own. But we're not going to take the enemy side and publicly tear our sister down against the enemy. No, we ain't doing that. Now, when we're talking about community accountability, we got to hold each other accountable within the community. So therefore, our stance will be stronger against the enemy. And so this is community accountability I'm discussing about Megan and Kelsey. We would never throw them to the wolves, though. We'd never throw them to the wolves. You understand? Because and I say our, meeting, including me, our psychological disposition has been affected by 400 years, almost 500 years now, of white supremacy, slavery, Jim Crow, black codes, oppression, all of these different things, economic poverty, chemical warfare, biological warfare. Our psychological makeup has been affected by that, and we didn't do none of that. So there's no white person on earth that can come and condemn us for how we behave when they are the ones who put us in this condition. Okay? So don't get confused with accountability within the community and then against the enemy, standing 10 toes against the enemy. It's completely different. All right? Got to know the difference. That's what I'm saying. I'm teaching y'all how we operate. I'm teaching y'all how we supposed to operate. All right? But look, I got to get ready to roll, family. So I wanted to get on and touch those particular topics. I wanted to also real quick. Again, we got to critically think. Because just a few days ago, let me talk about Robert Griffin III. Because he's one of those people who, when they say all skin folk, not kinfolk, he one of them. And we got a lot of them in our community. Black skin, white mind. His whole lived experience, in his adult life, don't have nothing to do or understand the plight of black women. You understand? So he don't even know what's going on, but he had a lot of commentary about Angel Reese, and he always defended Caitlin Clark as he would, because we know he's like Dr. Umar will say, he's a bunny hopper. You know what I'm saying? He liked to be with the other side. He liked creamer in his coffee. And he always talk. I seen Ryan Clark talk about this milk obsession that he got and all this kind of stuff. So we know what kind of cornball RG3 is. And Ryan Clark, salute to that brother for his beautiful articulation of his point and the plight of Angel Reese and other black women like her, and how people like Robert Griffin III gonna lay out, sell out for the enemy, who will throw his black behind out the window as soon as they get, including in his household, because they get like that sometimes. You can be married to him and all that. You seen what happened to Tiger. You can be married to him and all that, and they still sell you up the river. So you better watch yourself. But hey, this is the side that Robert Griffin III then chose. So look, just don't come calling us, bro. If it go left, Don't try to get your black card back because it's been gone. Matter of fact, I need to call the office, but I don't think you was ever issued a black card. I don't think you was ever issued a black card, bro. So don't think you can go and register for one when stuff go left. Because we hear what you're saying about our sister, Angel Reese, and how you caping for the enemy's children. Hard, too. I mean, sis was in the background. His wife was in the background while he was talking trash about Angel Reese. So just, again, we got to keep our eyes open for these type of individuals. And shout out to Ryan Clark, as I mentioned, for articulating that point, standing up for our sister Angel Reese and explaining why Robert Griffin III said what he said. Right? Because his lived experience in his adult life doesn't allow him to understand. And then he doubled down on it, which lets you know, Robert Griffin lets you know that he's completely out of tune. But you see how they using Angel Reese, trying to paint her as a villain, and Caitlin Clark trying to make her out to be this, innocent, the great white hope that's going to somehow save the WNBA. When you got black women like Aja Wilson that's winning championships, getting sneaker deals, holding it down. Caitlin Clark ain't win that championship. Not a college championship. Angel Reese beat her in the college. She ain't win no championship in college. She been in the pros 2 years now. She ain't win nothing in the pros yet neither. But Aja Wilson over there killing it. Black women killing it, winning championships and all that. And they ain't talking about them. But every time Caitlin Clark hit the floor, and anytime something happened with her, somebody get testy with her, push her, shove her, foul her, anything like that, all of a sudden, oh, you're attacking Caitlin Clark. So you know the ones who do that. The ones who want nearness to Pharaoh. Remember, they was written of in the book of Exodus now. These individuals were written of in the book of Exodus. They were enchanters for Pharaoh who worked on behalf of Pharaoh to try to keep the children of Israel enslaved. These are not your friends. Brothers and sisters, these are not your friends. All right, so look, I got the roll. I appreciate all of you all for tuning in. We got over 100 people live. Thank you for tapping in, family. Make sure, again, like I said, that you like, share, subscribe this on all your social media platforms. Make sure that you follow me on all social media platforms at Brother King Cam, as well as the show. I'm going to actually change this at the bottom, but, we got a Instagram page specifically for the podcast that is dedicated to just everything with the podcast, family. So make sure that you follow us at Shifting the Culture Pod on Instagram. Shifting the Culture Pod on Instagram, family. All right? So, but make sure you catch us next week, for another live show as we touch on the issues that are affecting the community and the culture, and as we, work to shape our narrative and make sure that we shift in the culture, family. So I appreciate you all for listening. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum.
Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me. I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. They see me in my presence, say. They see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. And then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big. You feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair. You had the advantage. We wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy. Toby ain't my name. Y'all still wanna think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like